Up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power line today is kind of close. What's up again? It's Dan Fredenberg. I'm joined today with Kenneth Hayes. How you doing today, Kenneth?
I'm good. How about yourself, man?
I can't really complain, right? Now, for you, those of you in the office, what am I talking about? In the audience, maybe you know Kenneth, you don't know me, but my story is that I do these chance encounters with commercial real estate investors, and then I go through which of the 5 motivations that I list off is most closely related or resonates or describes the investor, and then I go through the 6 different roles in a commercial deal, and I say which one's your core competency or whatever you'd be willing to contribute to your next commercial deal. But the first thing I like to do is to ask the guests to introduce themselves. So Kenneth, can you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure. Kenneth Hayes, located out of Atlanta, Georgia. I am a self-storage owner, operator, and syndicator, and that's our core business. And yeah, we love what we do, and we're a small shop, a team of 4. So yeah.
Yep. Awesome, cool. So let's go to our first segment right here, which is the motivation piece. I find that beginners usually know their motivation, but they don't know what role they're going to play. So that's why I start off with those. And the fact that you focus more on self-storage, that only makes some very slight differences, as we'll see in a moment. So just ignore the fact that it says apartment complex up there. But the first motivation people have for wanting to buy another big commercial asset is that they're looking to preserve the purchasing power. So a lot of people are afraid of inflation right now. And what's implied in preserving purchasing power is that your wealth is how you make money, as opposed to a lot of people, which is they're still in the process of accumulating wealth. So if you are really concerned that inflation is going to end the party, then you're looking to preserve your purchasing power. The second reason is the one that most closely applies to my own situation, which is that as a high earner in tech, I do have the option of investing into these properties. But if I turn it around a little bit and I go into the GP team, and I'm getting rewarded for my effort in the form of wealth, which makes a lot more sense for tax reasons. And if that's where you're actually looking to go, then it's a good enough plan for me anyway. But that brings me to the next one, which is the most common answer for people, which is fast tracking their retirement. But there are 2 things that are implied in that maybe aren't so obvious. One is that like if somebody is like 21 years old, fresh out of college, and they're saying they're trying to fast track their retirement, it's like, yeah, just hold your horses there. You're not quite there yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be working with something.
Yeah.
For it to really be for it to really count as fast tracking your retirement. But the bigger one is that if you're fast tracking your retirement, there's an end goal in mind. You know, some people, they'll become an accredited investor and they'll say, hey, that's enough, and then they'll just rest on their laurels. And that's what's implied by fast tracking the retirement. But the next group of people, they're so ambitious, they want to buy their entire hometown. And so, you know, they're never going to stop growing their portfolio. And that level of hustle is also very handy in a co-GP team, because you know that the person's not going to just check out as soon as they're a millionaire. So that brings me to the last one, though, which is that some people have a sector of society or something that they want to help, and they realize that wealth creation, wealth building is the best vehicle out there to really make an impact in society. You know, you could be a librarian, but your name's never going to be over the top of a hospital, right? And if you do accumulate wealth,
Mm-hmm.
then you are able to do that. So maybe it's not, maybe the ones that you want to help, maybe they're not necessarily even human, maybe they're animals. I know some people have told me that so far on this show, but those are the 5 different motivations. So Kenneth, of those, what resonates best with you? Which best describes you? What combination of those motivations really are you?
So for me, it's more of being in the long haul and staying in this game for for the long haul of the deal, just overall because of eventually my team we're focused on Georgia for a specific reason, because we grew up here. So the biggest thing for us is to invest into our backyards because it makes sense, but also be able to rinse and repeat and teach the next generation behind us how to do this. So the motivation for us is to build a system in place that we know it works. That's why we're working out the kinks now as first generation business owners, but be able to hand that down not to only our children but to our community. So that way, if the next generation young men and women feel like they don't have an alternative or another exit strategy, well, this is an alternative that you can actually employ into your life and actually do well, and that sort of thing. So that's kind of how we look at it.
Yeah, I love that because it's basically the same thing as you got to take care of yourself because no one else will, and you got to take care of your area because who else will. So I really like that. That's a great answer. But that brings me to the next segment, which is the different roles in a commercial deal. So I'll first start off by talking about repositioners. So a repositioner has to underwrite, so they have to do the math. They have to figure out which of these different properties that they look at, and they tend to look at a lot. They have to say which one actually has some upside. Upside, how do you get that? Well, there are two big ways. One is by more efficient operations. In other words, you lower your expenses. In self-storage, Masha, she was just on here and she was saying that self-storage has fewer toilets, which is nice. But the main thing is I also got the Benjamins going down this toilet to let people know that anything to do with money, it's part of the operations team. Okay, if you're bookkeeping, or me, one of my biggest competencies is in marketing. So that's something that you need in the fold as well, because you have to keep the vacancy low. So operations, more efficient operations, cost cutting, things like that, that makes a huge difference for upside. But right now real estate is so unbelievably hot. That's probably not going to be enough to get some real upside for the repositioner. So another frequent thing that they'll do is they'll get a contractor team, they'll fix it up, they'll make it nicer. In self-storage, maybe you're getting the contractor to add additional units so that way, so one thing that I know that a lot of people are looking for are properties that you can expand into. So that's one way that works in that side of commercial. But me, I'm from the internet, as you can tell, and that means that I have to be remote based. So the other problem is you're going to have boots on the ground. You're going to have a local to keep an eye on the operations and to keep an eye on the contractor, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to, because I don't even want to grab my passport in an hour, no less actually be there. So those are more or less the team as most people think of it. But you're going to have to turn around to the financier, which is normally the bank, but capital raisers would also be a form of financier. You have to turn around to the financier and say, hey, I want to buy this, it's worth millions of dollars, so can you lend me millions of dollars? And they'll say, okay, so this is the property, and okay, let me look at that. And they'll say, but who's your sponsor? And that's the part that floors a lot of beginners, because they're like, what's that all about? So the sponsor, a KP, is a person who already owns a similar asset, and you have to have somebody who has a similar asset in the fold if you want to get a loan. And the other thing you're going to need is somehow in the GP team, the sponsorship team, you're going to have a net worth of at least the amount of the loan. And those are the 6 different roles. So out of those, Kenneth, what's your main competency, or what role are you most likely to play in your next commercial deal?
So for the most part, for me, sponsorship, because I am the deal flow guy. I'm the guy that's responsible for getting stuff under contract, signing all the contracts, putting the teams together from legal to financing, all that other stuff. And then like my business partner, he deals with all the financing, the underwriting. So, we have that great balance. So for me, I'm the deal flow guy, and I sign the, final contracts and everything else. So definitely that sponsor KP guy.
Excellent, excellent. So my next question then is about your ideal property. So you do stick mostly to Georgia. I don't know if you're interested in anywhere nearby outside of Georgia, but what sort of unit count, like what sort of property features are there that would makes it a much easier decision for you?
Yeah, so our market, primarily, even though it is southeastern Georgia, but it's also Florida, anything surrounding Georgia for the most part, as long as it makes sense. But for us, we're getting to that point now where, we have to go bigger. So with our first acquisition, it was 94 units under management with zero climate control. Well, depending on the market that you're in, climate control is in demand. So for us, it would make sense for us to start looking at two-story facilities, your B pluses, your A minuses or A plus, type of facilities where it does offer those type of amenities, and then also to where our business model does fit. So because we do the unmanned model and it works fairly well. So you can it may work in some Class A facilities and it may not, but we do know in the B class it does make sense because we may not have a retail front, but it's still climate control based. So we typically look for opportunities where we can get in and find climate control opportunities where they may not have systems, and we're a system-based company, so we can implement systems. So most of your newer established facilities will have some systems in place, but it all boils down to operator at that point. So.
That makes lots of sense. So the next question I have is, real estate, especially commercial real estate, it tends to be such a social industry, like where everybody's looking to help people out. And so there's going to be some sort of person that you can help more than others, though. So, like maybe it's an operator, maybe it's a local, who knows. But can you describe the perfect person that you can help more than anybody else without breaking any SEC restrictions, which means you cannot entice investors? That's the only thing you can't say. So who's your perfect person that you can describe for you to help more than anybody else?
I think it's local. And the reason why I say local, we join the local chamber where our property is, and that's part of our business structure. That's our model. We want to invest into that community. So wherever that local chamber is, if we can just give back just by serving in the community or donating or whatever the case may be, we do that. If it's a young man or young woman who maybe worked at a storage facility, or maybe they need a job and they just want to learn how to get into real estate, because most people think about fixing and flipping when it comes to real estate. They don't think about the bigger scale of real estate. So, we want to come in as a local community mentor and educate and, hey, give them experience. Somebody gave us experience, so we got to give back. So that's kind of we like the local presence because it just makes sense for us.
That makes lots of sense. All right, cool. So, and then we met through some meetups, and I found the meetups generally through LinkedIn. Is LinkedIn the best way to reach to you, or is it is there a
Yeah.
website that's better? Or
Yeah, so you can follow us on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, so just search for Kenneth W. Hayes. You can go to our website, www.hkcapital.net. That's all of our contact info. You can email me, khayes@hkcapital.net. I will give out my number, but my wife, she monitors the phone, so she's a phone company. No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, shoot me an email. I'd love to talk real estate, family, faith. That's what I do. And my wife and I are actually thinking about doing a live on Instagram and YouTube about family, faith, real estate, business, and along with the rest of the team. So be on the lookout for that.
excellent, that's good stuff. So, for those of you in the audience that don't know me very well, my background is in e-commerce technology and mass marketing. So that means sending a whole whack of emails out to people and then doing the actual funnels and whatnot. And I help sponsors get more leads and segment the leads and do all that kind of technical stuff. And then specifically on a GP team, I streamline the acquisition process using my programming skills and that sort of scaling. And then same with the operations side with anything that computers can really do something about. But more importantly, I have something to ask you in the audience, which is if you look under here somewhere, there's a big red button that says subscribe, and it makes me super duper sad. So if you could please click on that and turn it gray, it'll be better because that means YouTube will pay for these videos instead of me. And I want that Google money. There's no two ways about it. But thank you very much for watching. And Kenneth, this has been awesome getting to know you a little bit better. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you, man, for having me.
Awesome. Take care.
Take care.